BC football staff is already cooking up some home cooking with a commitment at their recruiting barbecue.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to all my everydayers. This is AJ Black. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. And I am here to talk about recruiting because there's a big barbecue going on in Chestnut Hill right now. There's already a commitment. We're going to get into that, why this is important, and everything else. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Now, this is a daily Boston College podcast, and I got so excited when I heard about the barbecue going on, and already BC staff has landed their first commitment. And I'm going to probably butcher the kid's name, and I apologize to Dean and his family. But Williston, Northampton, Massachusetts, offensive lineman Dean Ruksnaitis, hopefully I got that right, committed to Boston College early on Thursday afternoon during the middle of their recruiting barbecue. Ruksnaitis has been on campus a couple times already. As you can see in the picture, this is him from earlier when he first got on campus. I talked to Dean shortly after committing. He told me he felt like a priority to BC, and he had no problem pulling the trigger now because he felt like he was at home. This was a great fit for him. He's local, and this helped him make that decision. Now, this kid does not have he's a class 26. So this is, he's entering his junior year. He does not have any other offers, but that's okay. You know, if you've been able to identify local talent that you think is going to fit what you're doing at your school, that fits in perfectly with what Bill O'Brien said yesterday at the ACC kickoff, which is that he wants to make the bulk of his class within a 400-mile radius of campus. So this is the third commitment in this class. Two of them are offensive linemen. Two of them are local kids. So you have Marcelino Antunes from Catholic Memorial, and you have Dean R. to go along with Corinne Berry, who is not anywhere near 400 miles. He's on the other coast in California, but he's your quarterback, so that's okay. You know, he's at the base, so that's okay. Now, you now have two offensive linemen in your class. How big of a deal is this? Because it's just a week ago, we were talking about the class of 25, and all the teeth gnashing was about Matt Applebaum and the worries about offensive line recruiting. And believe me, I'm not saying teeth gnashing in a bad sense. I get where you're coming from because they have struggled there. You now have two out of your first three commitments are offensive linemen and local. That is a sharp turnaround from the challenges that they've had. Applebaum deserves some credit here because when you're able to go out there immediately and start filling in the meat of your offensive line, and that sounds like an awful term to use, but I'm going to say it, that is big. Our Antunes was a great get for BC. The kid from Catholic Memorial, 6'7", he's rated an 87 on 247. Believe me, if he had not committed to BC, he would be a national recruit, in my opinion. Dean Ruksnaitis is more of a local kid that I think probably would have stayed more local, but is still a solid get. Now, he's an interior offensive lineman, and Antunes is more of a tackle. Antunes is like 6'7", Dean is like 6'4". He's projecting more to be either a guard or a center. So you're starting to get a little bit of versatility in your offensive line here. And this is good because we're not even into the 26 cycle yet. And you already have two. And I assume they're going to go for like four offensive linemen. You're already halfway there. And we'll get into our second segment about that there's more that could be coming locally. BC's in a really good shape in this class already on their offensive line. I like what they've done. I liked what Applebaum has done. And it kind of silences a lot of the doubters, including myself, about where things were going with the recruitments of local kids. You have to remember, too, I'm excited for the class of 26 to see what O'Brien and his staff are capable of doing because the class of 25, they were starting, all the other schools basically had a running head start and they were playing catch up because BC hired him in March and official visit season started in June. So they had to play catch up for that class, and it didn't give them the full cycle to do what they needed to do while other schools were able to do that because Jeff Halfley left at such a weird time. Now, the class of 26, O'Brien and his staff can do what every other school is doing in terms of the logical progression of recruiting to do the initial visits, the official unofficials, to visits to their schools, the home visits, the phone call, the DMs, whatever other things that they have to do that can slow down the process a little bit. And it seems like that has been very advantageous to the staff. You've landed a local recruit that I think was going to blow up in Marcelino Antunes. The quarterback, Corinne Berry, he blew up in the 7vs7s this summer. And Greg Biggins of 247, one of my counterparts, wrote that he has all of the signs that he's going to have a massive senior year, or junior year. And then you add another local offensive lineman in Dean Ruksnaitis, who I think, it's another school too. It's Williston, Northampton, Williston, who they've had kids come from that school before that go elsewhere. So this is an important get for BC. This is a nice commitment of a kid that really wanted to come here. BC didn't even let him hit. Basically, it's almost like free agency, right? They didn't let him hit the open market. They put the press on because they liked him, and they wrapped it up. So this is a Matt Applebaum and Jonathan DiBiase commitment. So if you're not really familiar how that works, Applebaum is the positional coach. DiBiase is the local kid. Not local kid, local recruiter. You all know that he played football. He was a Gatorade Player of the Year here. He is the local guy, and this is another good get for them. Now, in our second segment, I'm going to talk about this barbecue. I want to give you some reasons why this is an important event and why you should care about it. I'll get into all of that in just a moment. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seats, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. You guys are Red Sox fans out there, many of you. You're getting closer to playoff time. Maybe you're a Yankees fan. You can get your tickets to Yankee Stadium, Red Sox, to Fenway Park, and know where you're going to sit, and you're going to get a good price. That's the best part about Game Time. You can see where you're going to sit. You can get some flash deals, which are actually lower prices. You get yourself to those games. It's perfect. It's the summer pastime for everybody, right? So get over to Game Time right now and download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Lowest prices, guaranteed last-minute tickets. Are you guys listening to Fox and ESPN still? What are you doing to yourself? Do you have to turn the volume down with all that shouting? It gives me a headache. Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV Channels app, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, this is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. And we were just talking about Dean Ruksnaitis committing to BC. And this came out of the barbecue that's going on campus. And for folks that don't know or don't follow recruiting, this is a little primer of what the barbecue is. This week, BC has, and I think this is the last year they can do it because I think the scheduling is supposed to help the coaches with easing off a little bit of recruiting. But they get like a week window where they can just do unofficial visits on campus. And as I said, it's going away next year. BC is doing a barbecue, and what they're doing is they're getting local kids, almost all within that 400-mile radius that Bill O'Brien keeps mentioning, on campus to check out the staff, have a barbecue, meet other recruits, have the committed kids there to kind of help cheerlead, and do more of that face to face recruiting, which is so important in college football. As nice as it is to do Zooms and DMs and phone calls, getting the players face to face with the staff is the most effective way to recruit in college football. This week, this event on Thursday has a bunch of different benefits that are going to help Boston College out. First of all, let's talk about the coaches. There's going to be a bunch of coaches on campus. Most of these kids come with their high school coach. That is going to give Bill O'Brien and his staff a chance to continue to build important relationships with coaches that may not have the highest esteem of Boston College. Remember, Bill O'Brien has a much higher reputation than Jeff Hafley, Steve Adazio, Frank Spaziani. And whatever the relationships were in the past, it's up to O'Brien and his staff to put Boston College at a higher level so that these local kids end up staying more often than not in Chestnut Hill. But for that to happen, you have to repair and show these coaches that this isn't the same Boston College that we saw with Steve Adazio, that this isn't the same Boston College even that they had with Jeff Hafley. This is a new school that is looking to be competitive in the ACC and is doing everything possible to make that happen. And to do that, you got to get those coaches on staff and you got to get to know them, get to know what makes them tick, what they're looking for, so that when they sit down with their kids, when it starts to turn into, the senior seasons and junior seasons, they're still talking about Boston College and they're not looking at Duke and Clemson and, Wake Forest and all these other schools. You got to put BC in the forefront. And this is the type of program that can do exactly that. Now, I'm going to keep putting up pictures throughout this episode. If you're on YouTube, you get to see them. If not, check it out. This event also brings all the local recruits to campus. Now, there's going to be schools, and there's a set of schools that are not really connected to BC. And if you look at who committed elsewhere, you could probably guess what schools those are, but I'm not going to say anything. But there's a lot of the bigger programs here this weekend. You have Catholic Memorial there. You have St. John's Prep there. You have Williston Northampton. You've got Dexter South. You have a big amount of those programs on campus and some big names like U-Haul. What's his name? Leniel Hall. I guess he goes by U-Haul, right? Who's another? I think he's an offensive lineman, right? You have all these big names of local recruits that are on campus. And what makes it really important is it allows the committed kids to come on campus and basically be recruiters for you. You have on campus right now, and this is not even for VIP users on my site because it's all over Twitter right now, Griffin Collins, a committed kid from Worcester Academy. You have Micah Amity from Zavarian Brothers. You have Bryce Lewis from Georgia, who all three of them are committed. Marcelino Antunes is there. They can help spread the word of Boston College from a student athlete perspective, from a football player perspective. And that is so valuable. When you have Griffin Collins or Mike, you have Micah Amity in a picture with U-Haul, that's great because Micah Amity is a very staunch Boston College advocate. You go on any social media, Micah Amity is everywhere because he could be your best asset in this class right now because he's talking up this school to everybody. And if that helps you get Leniel Hall, that's what these events are for, is to help the kids see from other kids' perspective why they chose Boston College and why they should end up there too. So there's a lot of potential with these types of programs. And I love seeing it so much on social media right now. This isn't a new thing. This isn't like Bill O'Brien is reinventing the wheel. Jeff Hafley did barbecues too when he could, but there was times when there was COVID stuff and they just couldn't do it. But he did do them. This event, in my opinion, is being pumped out to social media channels by the kids, and I'm sure that they're being pushed to by, maybe they're not, but I would imagine the staff is saying, hey, why don't you throw this on social media? They actually have a hashtag right now. I've seen that floating around too, that makes this a bigger deal. It's what's the hashtag I saw? Hanging out on the heights. Hashtag hanging out on the heights. That's been going around on Twitter a lot between all of these kids. And it doesn't even matter if the kid is gonna be a BC target. There's plenty of kids here that aren't gonna be BC targets, but getting them on campus and showing them a good time and why Boston College is the place for them to go is so big. It's such a big deal. And they're doing it the right way. Like all these pictures. Now all this excitement. This seems like a bigger event because it's all over social media. If you follow me, I've been retweeting all because they're all tagging me. The kids are all tagging me because they know me on social media, but they're all excited about it. And this gets the attention of other kids who are potentially looking at the school. Maybe not kids in the catchment area, or maybe even kids that weren't even considering BC, but they're looking at this going, huh, there's some big things going on at Boston College. I should check that out. That's why this is important. And I think that there's going to be um, more coming from this. And I'll explain what that all looks like in just a moment. Locked on Boston College, AJ Black. We're talking about the recruiting barbecue. This is a whole episode about this. That's why I think it's such a big deal. I've seen, like probably 60, 70 kids at this thing. And they range from the class of 25 that are committed kids. As I mentioned, Bryce Lewis is there, who came up all the way up from Georgia. You have Mike Amity. You have Griffin Collins. Those are all committed kids that are here. But you also have kids from the class of 26 all the way down to I think there's a class of 29 there too. I don't know the kid's name, but I saw him tweet about it. But Christopher Vargas, who's going to be a national recruit at quarterback, class of 28 from St. John's Prep, he tweeted he was there. So you can see it. It kind of runs the gamut, and that's okay. You're going to be looking for kids for all those classes and to build those relationships now. Now, it's great to just, make those connections, but we've already seen one commitment come out of this with Dean Ruksnaitis. There's more coming. As I tweeted out with my Omar from the Wire GIF that I always do when I know about something. There's another one coming, and it's someone connected to this event. Okay, so there's gonna be, and I'm saying this now. So there's two that are coming out already from this class. I would not be surprised, given some of the names I saw there, and some of the connections that are related to the staff, if there's more, because it just seems like it's a positive event where there's kids that are within BC's grasp that they've done a nice job of connecting with that are going to close the deal. And I feel like this event would be a perfect opportunity for them to do that. So check out for the news, man, because I think there's going to be more coming soon. And I also want to say the catch area, it extends pretty. I mentioned Georgia, but there's a couple kids from New Jersey here too. Now, the big one, if you follow me on 247, I'll give this one away. It's a VIP, but you guys, I love y'all. I'll give you a little nugget here. Jordan Thomas, a top 200 recruit. He's top 150, I believe. He's a 4-star who has offers from Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Oregon. I'm running out of schools, but they're all there. He's on campus again. He was on campus this spring. The fact that he took time out of his busy schedule to go all the way from New Jersey to Boston, which is not just like Hardy Watts, who was from Brookline, who ended up at Wisconsin. He'd come to BC, but that was in his backyard. You still got to travel from New Jersey. So he's got to be sort of serious if he's made 2 unofficial visits from New Jersey up here. He's here. And I got names. I talked to the staff and I talked to kids. They were reaching out to me to let me know if they're going or not. One name that I didn't even bother to hear, I didn't hear from the staff, but I heard about on social media, just looking at these pictures. It's fun. Like you can go on Twitter and see their picture and then blow up their names to figure out who they are. Is 26 running back from the Hun School, which I love that name, in New Jersey, Chase Enlow. He is rated an 88. I think he's the number 26 running back in the country. They did not tell me about him. That's another big deal because this is another kid from Jersey who has been on campus already, who's taking a second unofficial visit to BC. He's doing this on him and Thomas are doing this on their own dime. That's momentum right there. The fact that BC is getting this going for the class, they're both class of 26 kids. Jordan Thomas is a cornerback and Chase Anlow is a running back, both class of 26. They fall within that 400 mile radius. And man, that would be some addition to this class if they could actually pull those off. So there's fireworks potential here, folks. And as I said before, if you love your recruiting news, come over to 247 Sports, where I do most of my writing. I have all sorts of, I just kind of glanced over it, but I have whole articles up about the barbecue with more details about kids that are there that I did not talk about here. You want to check that out. And I told you there's one commitment that came out of the barbecue. There's one, I believe, that's coming out of the barbecue that should be announcing at some point. We still have a class of 25 commitment that I have not, that has not announced. And just to give you guys a heads up, he has not announced a date or time. I reached out to him. He has not set a time yet. So he's probably setting up some sort of social media thing, like either a video or a commitment ceremony. We'll find out about that later. This was an episode that I didn't even expect I was going to be doing, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a 5-star review on YouTube. And if you like Locked On, let me tell you about Locked On Red Sox. The Sox have big news going on right now. They've got a loaded farm system coming up. There's the trade deadline, and Alex Cora just signed a big contract. Check out Locked On Red Sox on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you enjoy my podcast, follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247 or at Locked On BC. And I hope to see you again soon for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.